Good evening.
Good evening.
How many of you enjoy good food? That's the entire. What kind of food do you like? Everything. Biryani. Italian. Anytime. Dosa. Great. Great answers. What do you do for entertainment?
Football.
Movies?
Sports.
Sorry?
Arts.
Okay. What else? Bloomberg. Fantastic. And I can safely assume all of you have been to school. So we are among the privileged in the society. We have access to food, choice of entertainment, education, jobs, and so on. But you know the number of people who don't have access to all this. The World Bank estimates 40% of Indians, that's over 400 million people, live on just 60 rupees a day. And if you raise that bar to 120 rupees a day, do you know the number of people who would fall into that bracket? It's 80%. That's over 800 million people. Spare a thought for half the children in India who are below the age of 5 and who will be going to bed this evening without a meal. Spare a thought for those who can't read or write, because 30% of the world's illiterate live in India. 63% of the slum dwellers in South Asia live in India. 80% of the world's homeless live in India. The list of India's woes, the list of India's poverty statistics, inequality can go on and on. But do you know what? You and I could have been one of these 800 million people living on 120 rupees a day. You and I could have been the 80% of the homeless. You and I could have been 30% of the illiterate. But we are not. And we are not because of a fundamental reason. Do you know why? Education. What else? You said something? Luck. What else? Birth makes such a difference on whether we live or whether we die. Or perhaps how we live. We could have been born in a slum or Buckingham Palace. Now, Warren Buffett, the billionaire investor, once said that he struck a lottery the day he came out of the womb, because he was born in the United States and not in some other country where his chances would have been different. But you know what? A lot of people are doing some good work for the underprivileged. A lot of people are reaching out to lift the marginalized. And that's one of the beauties of life. Because when you see success stories like that, people who are at the depths of society and who have reached the heights, you get inspired. And one such inspirational story is about this boy who was born in a Harijan family in Kerala. He was very poor, but extremely bright. Really wanted to study. He would go to school, but his father couldn't really pay for his tuition. He was reprimanded, he was ridiculed, thrown out of the class, but he wouldn't budge from there. He would stand outside and be focused on what the teacher is saying. Eventually, this boy topped his school. The Maharaja of Travancore was so impressed that he said, "I'll fund your college education." And he went through college. And he topped the university. And then he got a job in Delhi as a journalist. And in the course of his work, he met G.R.D. Tata. And Tata was so impressed by him. He said, son, what do you want to do in life? And this man said, I want to study even more. I'm going to go to London School of Economics. Done. G.R.D. funded his trip to London School of Economics. There, he excelled. And finally, when he finished his studies, at the top of his class, one of the great names in the world of economics of last century, Harold Lasky, asked him, young man, what do you want to do in life? And this man said, I want to go back to India and serve my people. He said, okay, I'll give you a letter of introduction. Go and give it to your Prime Minister. He's a good friend of mine. These were the early years of our independence, and the Prime Minister was Pandit Nehru. This man walks into Nehru's office, talks to him, gives him this letter. And you know what Pandit Nehru does? You don't have to sit for the IFS exam. You're straight away inducted to the Indian Foreign Service. And this man distinguished himself in the Foreign Service, and over the next few years won all the plum assignments, whether it's Beijing, Moscow, London, Washington, Islamabad, are key trading partners. And in 1955, Pandit Nehru called him the best diplomat we have. Do you know who I'm talking about? No, Krishna Menon was quite wealthy. K.R. Narayan. K.R. Narayan. How did he do this? How did he do this? Can you imagine an untouchable? He later on went on to become the president of India, occupying. How did he do it? Because at every stage, there were people who were reaching out and giving him a push, a helping hand. That made the difference. Now you don't have to be the Maharaja of Travancore or Harold Lasky or G.R.D. Tata to help people. You can do that too. You can help people as well. President John F. Kennedy used to speak about the power of one. One person can make all the difference, he used to say. And every person should try. That is so fundamental. Of course, you can turn around and say, but I don't have the time. I don't have the resources. A friend of mine, and I'm inspired by her, she's a colleague and friend in Pakistan. She wanted to set up an NGO in Larkana district, one of the poorest regions in the world. She had ambitious plans of making schools, polytechnic, hospitals, and so on. The budget was huge. She asked me for funds. I said, my contribution is going to be a drop in the ocean. She gladly accepted my donation. And then after many years, last year when I went to Pakistan, I dropped into Larkana. And I was amazed. Her dream has become a reality. And I asked her, Naveen, how did you do this? And she said, every drop of water makes an ocean. Your contribution made a difference. Till then, that phrase, every drop of water makes an ocean, was a cliche for me. But now, I see power in it. I see weight in it. So next time, if you feel helpless when you see poverty around you, if you feel you don't know what to do when there's inequality around you, remember, your contribution, even if it's tiny, will make a difference. Do you know why? Because every drop of water makes an ocean. Every drop of water makes an ocean.